He asked me not to ask him to sing.
Oh, he's got the greatest voice.
Voice every day, and he has a prescription. And he's helping us get better.
All the talking.
I think it's a real problem.
I've done that.
And I'm
Yep.
So, Laura said the same thing.
Yeah.
Bob did the same thing. And when I go back to the person, I'm going to say, do you think they're both alcoholics?
Your symptoms are exactly what I go through every year. So this year it's progressively worse. The pollen is awful. The weather with the rain has been helping the last few days. But it doesn't.
Help me a bit.
Now,
Help me a bit.
for me, now it spawns mold, and now I get that.
How do we do total?
He's probably not choosing like those. Just to let you know, you are live and recorded. So I just want to let you know.
Alright, let's just start stalling people.
I'm thinking now.
Oh yeah. No, you're supposed to go after the colors are presented, so I'll speak first and then you guys do it. So after this,
Where's the
feel dressed for the night, put it in here, so. Better than sitting on my desk. Kind of small. Okay. Yes. They're going to get a small office somewhere else. Yeah. Okay.
Do we have a mic or we just project?
Project.
Just project.
That way if I use my just
And you're being recorded, you're live.
Okay, so let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is April Earle. I'm a member of the library faculty here at Farmingdale. I'm impressed to see so many here. Just a few days ago, I was talking to Michelle Johnson, our Director of Alumni Engagement, who I want to thank for her help in organizing today's event. She asked me how many people did I think would be here, and I told her I thought it would be me and her in a tree. So thank you all for being here. Our program will be quick today, weather pending. I'll run through it real quick. First, we'll have some words from our college president. Then we will have our honor guard present our colors, singing of the national anthem, if she shows up on time, and I'll give you a brief history on our oak, and then we're going to place some memorial stones and lay the wreath donated to us today by Stephen Hicks of Hicks Nurseries. So, Dr. Nader.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm John Nader. I have the privilege of being the president here at Farmingdale State College. And I want to say that we've become quite good, particularly in recent years, in honoring those who've given so much for their country and many others who've given very much to the college as well. Many of those people remain nameless, or their names are ones that we don't necessarily recognize. I'm particularly pleased to see that we are able to recognize some of them here this morning with the stones that have been placed about. The college will continue the tradition of trying to recognize those who've given of their life or given to make Farmingdale a better place, or more importantly, given to their country. And that includes the many, many Farmingdale State College students who are veterans of our armed forces. No part of the college has been better. I would say, it goes so far as to say, has been excellent in recognizing our history and our nation's history than the staff at the Greenlee Library. I want to acknowledge Fatima Rod, who's here, our library director, Karen Gillis, as well as April Earl, who have helped us do this really over the past 3+ years to honor our past, to recognize those who put us on a path forward nationally and institutionally. And April, Karen, Fatima, thank you very much for preserving our past and recognizing those who've given so much. Thanks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our national anthem singer isn't present yet. So I'll now talk about the history of our tree. So first, I'm going to share with you some history about our memorial oak. This is actually the centennial of its original planting. You'll see around some posters about the history of this white oak, as well as posters about 4 key individuals. First, a little timeline. Our college was chartered on April 15, 1912 as the New York State School of Agriculture on Long Island. On June 28, 1914, World War I began in Europe with the assassination of Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand. We opened our doors to students in September of 1916, and it wasn't until April 6th of 1917 that the U.S. entered the war. One of our first students was Jack Bamford. He was born in England on June 27th, 1899, and he is the only known student to be killed in action in World War I. Jack was a Marine. With the consent of his parents, he enlisted in Company G of the 5th Regiment of the United States Marine Corps at the age of 17. He was killed in action on June 15, 1918, at the Battle of Belle Woods in France, just days before his 19th birthday. This tree was planted in part in memory of Jack and to honor all those who had made the supreme sacrifice and gave their lives in service to our country in World War I and all wars since. After the war ended on November 11, 1918, there began a national movement to honor those who had served our country. One form of this memorialization came in the planting of trees, so we were not unique in that. The planting of this oak took place in a very elaborate ceremony organized by a faculty member, Mary Peters. I can't find another planting like this in all of my research. Mary Peters, who was affectionately known as Ma Peters, was a favorite among students and staff for her kind and nurturing manner. She taught here from 1917 to 1939, making her the first female member of our faculty. She taught botany, entomology, history, and she served as the first librarian. She was faculty advisor to several student organizations, one of which was the Cosmopolitan Club. It was an organization addresses. Letters were read from officials of all types, including a letter from then President of the United States, Warren G. Harding. What was so special about this planting was that it is set in the soil from every U.S. state and territory, as well as every allied nation. There is soil from Australia, Belgium, Brazil, China, Costa Rica, Cuba, England, France, Greece, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, India, Ireland, Japan, Liberia, Mexico, New Zealand, Nicaragua, Panama, Portugal, Romania, Russia, Scotland, Serbia, South Africa, Thailand, and from every province of Canada. More than 70 parcels of soil were placed that day at the roots of this oak, whose trunk I would have been able to place my hands around. The tree was donated to us by Henry Hicks, who was a great supporter of our school from its very beginning. In May of 1959, we posthumously honored Henry with his contribution to the college by renaming our horticulture building Hicks Hall, which is located over there. Henry was the third generation of Hicks owners to own and operate Hicks Nurseries in nearby Westbury. That family business was opened by Henry's grandfather, Isaac Hicks, in 1853. We have with us today Henry's great-grandson, Stephen Hicks, who has most generously donated a wreath he will lay at his great-grandfather's oak at the end of today's program. The parcels of soil were placed by veteran students. Several of them were immigrants who gained their U.S. citizenship by serving in our armed forces. Most of them were wounded in the war and unable to return to their previous occupations. They took advantage of a program called the Federal Reserve, which is very similar to today's GI Bill. It provided veterans the opportunities to take courses, thereby regaining their ability to find employment. Among those was Angelo Crisafulli. Some of his descendants are here with us today. Angelo was born in Castro Real, Sicily on March 22nd, 1895. He immigrated to the United States on March 19, 1913, just 3 days before his 18th birthday. He volunteered to serve in the U.S. Army. He enlisted in Company E of the 9th Infantry on July 15, 1917. Angelo is the only known veteran student who I can identify to have participated in the planting of this oak. Beneath his 1962 yearbook photo, it proudly stated that he had placed the soil from it. Angelo, like Jack, fought at the Battle of Chateau Thierry alongside French units against the German advance. There is an article in which Angelo tells a story about his battle. He said, "We were marching to go to the front line, but on the way through the woods, we came to one place that had been in the battle. The squad lying on the ground beneath my feet were all dead. I thought they were asleep." Angelo was later wounded at Beaufort and returned home. He received his U.S. citizenship on March 14, 1919 at nearby Camp Upton, which was located in Yaphank in Suffolk County. He married, settled in Allegheny, New York, raised a beautiful farm, had a big family, among them a grandson, Anthony, who attended Farmingdale as well. Angelo died on November 8, 1996 at the age of 101. I've noticed our national anthem singer has arrived. So before we place our memorial stones, I'm going to ask her to sing the national anthem for us. That's okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. That's my cousin Elizabeth. So now I would like to have the placing of our stones. I invite Angelo's children, grandchildren to participate in today's ceremony. Family has sent stones from their present hometowns. You ever go to the cemetery and you see a stone on a grave marker? Or perhaps you've seen the end of Schindler's List, the 1993 film, if you're old enough, where at the end, hundreds of the Jews that Schindler had saved walked to his grave and placed stones on the grave. Well, the placing of stones is symbolic of participating in the burial. It's a conscious act of empathy and kindness, of doing a good deed and honoring our departed. So the boxes you see placed on the ledge are labeled with information from the person who sent it, who it's being placed in memory of, and where it came from. It's now 2 years ago that the college celebrated its centennial graduation. At that time, the descendants of our first graduating class, the class of 1919, were invited back to campus to see where their ancestors had gone to school. Those descendants were also invited today to send stones from their far-off locations. I really didn't think there'd be so many of us today. And so I've invited a few among you to come forward and place a stone. And if you would now walk up to a box and place the stone on the soil. Thank you all. I'm now going to ask Mr. Hicks and our veteran students to place the wreath.
Boys, what do you want to do? Becca, I'm gonna want you to come here in just a second.
I'd like to give special thanks to the Marine Corps League Sunrise Detachment of Massapequa, present here today, led by Commandant Carlos Garcia, for their service, not only to
me.
this event. I'd like to also close our ceremony and invite you all to some refreshments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. very much. Appreciate it.